Hello, everybody. It's your friend Rick. It is Saturday, October 21st, 2017. If you need to reach me for a donation, you can receive my affidavits, approximately 40 of them for many, many different situations, including writ of mandamus or writ of mandate. Okay, which is what I want to show you guys right now that many of you out there, we can use this against anybody that's taking your money who claims they have a court order. Now, a lot of times these court orders or these phony baloney family court or whatever the court is where you come from issued in violation of due process, or most of you are issued by these fake judges. That is immediately fake. Now, all you have to do is have your employer or the child support agency. You got to bring them to court, and you got to bring them to court by a writ of mandamus. And I'll show you. And what they do is they have to come to court, and they have to bring in the order. Now, if you don't go to court, they'll claim from now until forever that it's an order and that we have to follow it, which is what 10 out of 10 people that are dealing with their employer, they send in the paperwork telling them, you see how my paperwork is written, explaining to them. I explained to them 9 ways to Sunday how it's not a court order, and because the employers do not care. All they got to do is be threatened by some supposed federal law that whenever there's an actual law that they can use against you, they cite it. Okay, they'll cite it out. But when it's for child support, it says federal law requires you have to send, you have to honor this income withholding order, but they never tell you what the law is because it doesn't exist. Okay. Anyway, so so I have a guy here, this guy Kevin from New York, and the child support agency was claiming that he owed $15,000. I referenced him the other day in a video. Okay, and see, if you see right here, it's like, Rick, the agency had me up to $15,000, and they will bring it down to 25 when I told them I have a lawyer that wants to sue them under Article 78. Article 78 in New York is writ of mandamus, writ of certiorari, writ of prohibition. Okay, that's all it is. And wherever state you're in, I don't know what it's called, but all you gotta do is look it up. Okay, so here we call it Article 78, and I'm not paying a penny to them. I'm sticking to my guns. I still think I can fight them with your paperwork without being in front of a judge. So what he did was he just had to use the threat of. And I had another guy upstate New York, Andre. He did the same thing. He filed it, and when the child support agency got a copy that they had to come to court for Article 78, they made an agreement. And this is what can happen. All right. So anyway, this was on. I don't want to. I can't scroll up because I don't want to show you his whole name. But this was October 12th. Okay. So what happened was, well, there it is. Good job, Rick. But um, anyway, yesterday it got knocked down to zeros. All right. He doesn't owe anything anymore, and it shows on the um, it shows on the screen with the child support agency that he owes nothing. He owes zero. All right, so it's a happy ending because the supervisor knew he or she didn't have a leg to stand on. Of course, this is not working. All right, so uh, sometimes just a threat can get these people to follow because they know they don't have the actual proof. All right, now if you keep threatening them, if you just keep making empty threats, that may not do anything. But when you actually cite, writ of mandamus, Article 78, New York, and I'm sure this supervisor's probably had to testify in a few of them before. It's a fairly It's an often used uh, method or remedy is Article 70. There are lawyers that just do that in New York, okay? But they don't do it for child support. All right? All right, so what I'm showing you here is a writ of mandate, or writ of mandamus in California. All right, it's his name is, all right, Kyle D. Smith. He was nice enough to on his website how you can do it. All right, and I actually I included this in the study material for you guys. So anybody that has my paperwork, just go into study materials and you'll find this. All right, here's a ministerial duty. Now, what you use a writ of mandamus for is if a person in their official capacity is not performing a ministerial duty, you have to take them to court to force them to do it. Now, uh, hold on a second here. Okay. Uh, writ of mandate or writ of mandamus is perhaps the most common type of civil writ in California. All right, there's a case law right there. It has two basic functions. It can be used to correct an abuse of discretion by a court, an administrative body, or a person. Or, and that could also include your employer. Okay, your employer cannot take money out of your paycheck, your wages, without a lawful order. So this is a fairly simple process, believe it or not. Well, a lot of you would, I spend a lot of time talking about these things, and a lot of you still get caught up using other remedies. Like, you don't have to just keep, if I come up with a better remedy, drop the other ones and use this. Don't worry about interrogatories. Actually, I would rather you guys don't use interrogatories anymore, because I discovered that unless you have unless you're suing somebody, you cannot use an interrogatory, because uh, the court said, "Whoa, there's not a matter on the books," so they won't answer the interrogatory. So if you send interrogatories to your child support agency, technically they're supposed to answer them, because there is a matter on the books. That's the reason why they're supposed to take your money. But if you try to take them to court, we know how the courts are. That these people are protected. So you know what? Let's move away from that. Let's not waste any time with that. We go right to the writ of mandamus, writ of mandate. All right. So it can be used to compel a court, administrative body, or a person to do something that the law requires them. All right. So if your boss is taking your money and claiming that they received an income withholding order, well, the income withholding order is supposed to be based on an order from a court. But they never have it. So basically, they're being told by a third party, basically, well, he owes us, she owes us money. Send it to us or else. And they do it because they don't care about your money, and all they care about is themselves. So it boggles my mind, because they should be more afraid of you than of the child support agency. Because the child support agency, they don't have any means of punishing them, because the court order is fake. And in my paperwork, we tell them that it's fake. It's not signed by a judge. It's not a warrant. It's fake, but they do it anyway. So, if you do the writ of mandamus and you take them to court, and you should win, this is groundwork for later on. You can get damages from them now, because they should have followed the law. A lot of them, they just, they think that, you're a lowlife, because these child support agencies, their marketing is great. They just got you, well, he's not paying his child support. I took my workers' compensation carrier to one of their hearings back, 4 or 5 years ago. And I was dealing with this, shitbag lawyer. And he's like, well, he doesn't want to support his children. I go, what are you talking about, you idiot? I go, I just showed you guys checks that I mailed. I brought in all the stacks of check, but He knew he had, they're just playing this child support game. All these lawyers and judges, they're all in on the scam. This is a giant scam, and they're all in on it. That's why a lawyer will never ever mention the word void judgment. A lawyer will never ever mention lack of jurisdiction. A lawyer will never ever say coram non judice. Okay? They'll never say, because they're never gonna upset the apple cart. They're all on the same team. We're not. So we have to take it to them. All right, that's the reason why I showed you before, and I can't because, you know, the guy Kevin, I don't want to give away all his information because this just happened, but he was nice enough, he told me I could share it. So you guys saw the emails. So just, and he has my paperwork, and he told me he learned it, the knowledge he got from my paperwork. Also, when you receive my paperwork from a donation, all you have to do is read them. My paperwork explains everything. I over-explain things on purpose. All right? That way the courts cannot play dumb. I try to avoid, stages. You know, there's different stages in cases. I try to eliminate them by over-explaining. Okay? So, again, we can use the writ of mandamus to force your employer or the child support agency to come to court and bring a valid court order. It could be that simple, guys. It really can be. Now, lately, a lot of my people were encountering the clerk's office as being extra difficult. I had a guy the other day. Maybe some of you have, encountered this. What they do is they'll take your paperwork and they'll walk away for 15 or 20 minutes. And what they're doing is they're reading it. Or they're bringing it up to the judge's chambers. This happened to me. And they come back and they'll say, oh, no, you can't do this. Or with this guy, he was saying, well, you got to use our paperwork. You don't have to use their paperwork. Or you can use like their cover page and, they'll have like, let's just imagine these are the lines and you got to write them, they'll only give you like 4 lines and you're supposed to explain everything on those 4 lines. Well, you can't. They don't want you to. They don't want you to explain it. They want you to give as little information as possible so they can reject it. So what the guy, I look at lawyers' paperwork a lot. If you go on the internet, you can search and find paperwork. So like you could go into Google search, right? All right, I'll show you. You go into Google search. Eventually, it's going to load up. So whenever I'm doing videos, for some reason, it takes forever. All right, so you do a Google search, right? We'll put in Writ of Mandamus, right? Google search. Now what you do is you can click on images. And you see, this is what comes up. All kinds of, right? We got here. And that's how you learn. You see? And sometimes you'll see, like online, this is where I learned it. I saw a cover page, an Article 78. And it's the cover page. I see the lines here. One second. All right. I just like imagine these lines here. And it'll say, and all the lawyer wrote was see attached affidavit. And on the attached affidavit, it's all the details. You understand? So he wasn't just confined to a few lines. So he wrote, see it. So I had this guy do that, and they still wouldn't accept the paperwork because they read it. All right. And, it's a tough, situation to be in. But you're going to have to fight through it. You're going to have to, get it through because you cannot be arrested for them not accepting your paperwork. They just can't say, well, you got to do it this way because it's not their business. Under Federal Rule 5, they have to accept your pleadings. And if they're not, under 18 U.S.C. 2071, they're obstructing. Okay? Also, if they're offering misinformation, they're obstructing. Okay? They do that all the time. All right? So what I did was I prepared file on demand, clerk file on demand. So from now on, with the paperwork, you bring that with you, and it breaks down to them, why they're obstructing. 1 second here. Also, this is what I put together for my writ of habeas corpus. I don't know if some of you've seen this before. It's called the Memorandum of Laws. And what it is you enter it with your paperwork, and it's all the case list of laws, right? And all the case laws that you use in your paperwork. And that way it's introduced as it's introduced as evidence, like conclusions of law in support of your pleading. That way they can't, they can't feign that they didn't know. A lot of times we will cite a case law and they just ignore it. Okay? But we know that they cannot under full faith and credit, Article 4, Section 1 of the United States Constitution. Also, a writ of habeas corpus is a constitutional right. All right? You don't have to ask permission. They want you to think this. But you have to get them on the defensive. That's what this guy Kevin in the email said before. I put him down. I closed it out. But that's what he said. Because what happens is if you sound confident, they get scared of you. That's what happened with me. I would go in there and I'd be like, what are you going to do, arrest me? You can't arrest me. I'll arrest you. You can't arrest me. That's what I used to say. And before you know it, they were fearing me. And they used to not want to accept my paperwork all the time. And also in federal court. Federal court, the same thing. And when I used to go there so many times, finally they knew me by my first name. How you doing, Richard? How you doing? I knew his first name too. All right, I got stonewalled there, but it's still, the point was they knew of me. Okay? And that's what you're going to have to do. You got to believe this stuff. All right? You got to go and say, wait a second, you can't turn down my paperwork. I don't have to use your paperwork. All right, and if you use their paperwork, do it like I said. On the lines, it'll say, what is, whatever they'll say to you. What are you looking to accomplish? And you'll say, or whatever the details. You just put down see attached affidavit, and that's the paperwork that you're going to be submitting. All right, I'm going to close this out, but I want you guys to, look up Writ of Mandamus. This guy. Kyle D. Smith. All right. Could you see that? www.appeals-lawyer.com, writ of mandate. Just put in this guy's name. You can learn a lot by doing this, all right? This is a nice thing that we have. I have paperwork for it. It could be that simple, believe it or not. A writ of mandamus to get a court order. We know the court orders are fake. It's like playing poker. You're gonna call. I want to see your cards. I call. All right. I'm calling. I want to see the court order. Where's the court order? And then when you're in court, or in your paperwork, you're gonna say this is not a valid court order. It's not signed by a judge. We're gonna put in the case law from the Supreme Court, Burnham versus the Superior Court. Also, there's a bunch of other case laws out there. All right. So listen, I'm gonna shut this down. All right. Again, this is proof that the writ of mandamus works. All right. Kevin just threatened a child support supervisor, and he went from owing $15,000, which we know he didn't. But listen, if he didn't notice, he'd still owe $15,000. So they were going to steal $15,000 from this guy, and he threatened the child support supervisor, and it's gone over. He owes zero now. All right. All right, guys. I'll talk to you guys later. Oh, if you want my paperwork, reach out to me. I have a writ of mandamus. I have writ of habeas corpus. I have all of these things. All right. If you want them, reach out to me for a donation. You can have it. All right. Bye.